You all might have heard of Area 51, but do you know that there is a mysterious Area 52? And now we have earthquakes, or to be precise, a swarm of mysterious earthquakes right there. So what am I talking about, guys? This is highly interesting. So over 100 earthquakes suddenly started shaking the Nevada desert right next to one of the most secretive military testing areas in the United States. And no, it's not California. This is a remote region of Nevada, not far from facilities that are connected to America's nuclear weapons testing program. That's the name. So I will break this down for you exactly what is happening, where these earthquakes are occurring, and what the big question is that the people are asking right now. Is this just natural geology, or is this something else? Is this connected to recent events? So guys, let's have a look. But before we do, can you do me a favor? Give this video an early like and a hype. Doesn't cost you anything, but helps my channel. Thank you so much. So the location of this swarm makes the story far more interesting than a normal earthquake sequence or a normal earthquake swarm. So over the past days, and this is significant, more than 100 small earthquakes over the magnitude of 2, so moderate, not super microseismic, have been recorded in Nevada, clustered in a relatively small area of the desert. So it's really a cluster. So they don't line up that you could say, is there a fault line or something where they're lining up? No, it's really a round cluster. So this is called an earthquake swarm. So instead of one big quake followed by aftershocks, a swarm is like dozens or even more, hundreds, thousands of earthquakes in the same area without one dominant main shock. And sometimes these swarms can last hours, sometimes days, sometimes even weeks. But what makes this particular swarm that I'm showing you here so unusual is the location. It is where it is happening. The quakes are occurring within 50 to 60 miles, 80 kilometers of the Tonopah Test Range. That's a highly restricted military testing area that is often associated with a classified weapons development. Hint, hint. That's why we're looking at this so closely. And nearby, there is also something else. There is another location with a very long and also very controversial history, the Nevada Test Site. So the Nevada Test Site, let's start with this one. It's officially called the Nevada National Security Site. Sounds a little bit better than test site, right? It's one of the most important nuclear testing facilities ever built. So since the early 1950s, the United States has conducted hundreds of nuclear tests there, both atmospheric and underground. So in total, the site has hosted, and this number blows me away, so to speak, when I hear it, 928 nuclear detonations. 928, with most of them happening underground. So really imagine the scale of that. Sometimes I'm wondering if humankind, if we have a brain, but do we? This is kind of what I think. So for decades, massive nuclear explosions were detonated beneath the Nevada desert. Each underground blast has, of course, as you can imagine, vaporized rock, created cavities deep underground, and has massively reshaped the geology in the region, right? So many of the craters you see on satellite imagery today, and they're actually the collapsed roofs of these underground nuclear explosion chambers. So like when we're talking about volcanoes and a magma chamber empties out very quickly, and then there's a hollow space underneath and it collapses into a crater. So naturally, when earthquakes suddenly appear in this region, the people start asking questions, and so are we. I'm sure you are doing this right now. But let's address the obvious question in the room. Are these earthquakes caused by nuclear testing? Are they doing nuclear testing again? So right now, there is no official evidence that any nuclear weapons tests are happening. In fact, the United States officially stopped underground nuclear weapons detonations in 1992. I have to say, only as late as 1992. So today, the site is still in use. Officially, they say it's mainly used for subcritical experiments. Subcritical experiments, that's an interesting wording. So that means scientists study nuclear materials without actually triggering the nuclear explosion. So the earthquakes themselves, if we believe everything we hear, are very unlikely to be nuclear detonations, right? Unless something goes wrong. But it still leaves another question. If it's not nuclear testing, right? Why are earthquakes happening here at all? Question mark, boom, big question mark. So, in my opinion, the answer lies beneath the desert. Nevada sits in a massive geological region called the Basin and Range Province. We've talked about this a few times. This is really massive. And think of the Earth's crust here as like a piece of taffy that's like slowly being pulled apart. And when the crust stretches, we have huge blocks of land actually dropping downwards along the faults. That's forming alternating mountains and valleys like you see across Nevada, right? This is what you see. And that process, it creates many hundreds of hidden faults right beneath the desert floor. So you wouldn't think it, but that's actually the case. And the problem is many of these fault lines, they're barely mapped. So many of them, we don't have mapped them at all. We don't know they exist, right? So, and when stress builds up in one of these faults, it can, in theory and practically, suddenly release a swarm of earthquakes. So is that the simple explanation for what we're seeing there? The earthquakes are quite large for that a little bit, right? I mean, we know earthquake swarms can happen for several reasons. Sometimes it's tectonic stress that's slowly shifting along an existing fault line. Sometimes it's magma movement deep underground, especially in volcanic regions. And sometimes it's fluid movement through like fractures in the crust, right? That we definitely do have here. And in Nevada, all three options are possible. The Basin and Range region is one of the most geologically active areas in the United States outside of California. Did you know that? But because it's mostly empty desert, most people never hear about these earthquakes or feel them because they don't live there, right? So still, that location, the location of the swarm is catching everybody's attention because we know the Nevada desert isn't just geology, right? It's also one of the most heavily studied and militarized pieces of land in the entire country. So the same region contains famous Area 51, the Tonopah Test Range, and the historic nuclear testing grounds, all within the same broad desert landscape. When we hear Nevada, many tourists or outsiders think, oh yeah, Las Vegas, baby, right? Nah, it's something else as well. And maybe that sentence, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, is maybe valid for these areas as well. And then people start connecting the dots, of course, right? Even when those dots may not actually be connected. We don't know. We just simply don't know. We can only look at what's in front of us. So right now, scientists are watching several things. First, how are these earthquakes distributed? If they line up along a straight line, that could reveal the fault is slipping underground. Second, how deep are the earthquakes? Shallow quakes usually could be something tectonic, right? Tectonic stress near the surface. Deeper earthquakes could indicate something happening much deeper down in the crust. And third, scientists are watching the size of the earthquakes. So if the swarm slowly dies out, it was likely just a temporary stress release or something else temporary, right? But if the earthquakes are starting to get larger, that could signal that something bigger is building. So should people be worried? Should we be worried? Right now, probably not, or should I say possibly not, maybe not. You be the judge of this. Let me know in the comments. But we know most earthquake swarms end without producing a large earthquake. But swarms are also a reminder of something else that's very important, even in places that we think they're quiet. The earth underneath is never truly still. So we've just seen Louisiana, 4.9 yesterday. Watch the video in the end screen if you want to know what that is. But the crust in general, it's constantly shifting, it's bending, and it's releasing stress. And sometimes, if that is the explanation, it does it in places where almost nobody is looking. But where it does it right now, we are looking. So Nevada's mysterious earthquake swarm is right now exactly that, mysterious, a mystery. It could simply be normal basin and range tectonics doing what they've done for like millions of years. Or it could reveal a previously unknown fault beneath the desert. But the fact that it's happening near one of the most secret testing sites or regions in the United States guarantees that people will watch it very closely, because sometimes the most interesting stories in geology happen far away from the famous fault lines, if that is geology, right? Right now, the Nevada desert is quietly or not so quietly reminding us of that. So I hope you like this. Hey, check out the video here with the Louisiana earthquake. It's kind of crazy. And there's other stuff. So subscribe, like, and hype. Thank you for your supers. Thank you for filling me up with coffee. A link is in the description. Thank you for clicking the join button and become a supporting channel member, and you're getting behind the scenes videos. So I see you there. I see you here. Stay safe and be aware of things, right? Bye-bye.